Now our union statement, again, is going to be two select statements, the keyword union between them, and there's going to be a couple of rules here. First of all is that each query must contain the same number of columns. So if I've got 5 on my top query, I need 5 on the bottom query. My data types must be compatible. So if I have string data in a column from one query, and I've got integer on another, and I'm putting those two columns together, this is going to error out. As you list your queries, it's the first one that will get to set the column names for the result set. So if you're using aliases, it's going to be up to the first column. If you're using an order by, which we'll talk about a bit later, I want to highlight the fact that that has to be at the end. Now, the last big thing to note about union statements is that all union statements are distinct. Distinct means that it's going to eliminate any duplicated rows. The problem is with distinct is that that's a very expensive operation, because what SQL needs to do is it needs to go get all the data and put it into order so that way it can figure out which rows it needs to get rid of. Quite frequently, what you really want is all the rows returned, and in that case, you're going to want to utilize union all. And keep in mind that even if I had two separate queries and they weren't going to be returning the exact same rows in any way, shape, or form, the default is still going to be distinct. SQL's still going to look for duplicated values. So make sure that you're using a union all statement in those scenarios. Let's take a look at how we could use the union statement. Inside the AdventureWorks database, there's a couple of different tables that have names and addresses. For example, the contact table has first name, last name, and email address. And then there's also a product review table that also has names and email addresses. Let's say that I needed to retrieve all of them into one query. So we'll do from contact and product review. So let's start with our contact table. So we'll say select, and we'll say first name plus a space plus last name as full name. We'll grab the email address from person contact, and then here's our union statement. Now remember, by default that's distinct, and then down below we'll say select, and this is going to be reviewer name and our email address from production, and then our product review table. Now when I execute this, what you're going to notice is that we're going to get back, in this case, 19,976 rows. You'll notice that A, Leonetti is up at the very top, and you're going to notice that the full name alias came from that top query as promised. Now, if I want to allow for duplicate values, then what I need to do is say union all. And now when I issue this statement, what I want you to notice down at the very bottom is that we got back 19,976 rows, and you're going to notice that the order of names is different. So even though we got back the exact same number of results, it was still 19,976, you'll notice that the order is different. The reason that the order is different is because SQL wasn't required, which is what we were doing with union distinct, it was not required to figure out where the duplicated values were. So it was able to just say, I need the data, send it out the door, and not have to put it into any sort of order, not have to figure out what is what. And there's how we can utilize subqueries and unions.